when we don't feel safe to fully be ourselves, that feeling of unsafety has usually very specific origins. It's rooted in very specific things that you've experienced, seen, heard, usually early in life, where you make up your mind it's not safe to be who you fully are. And in order to feel safe in this world as you walk around as an adult, which is the ultimate kind of freedom, right, is to freely and fully and unapologetically be your awesome self, there are some really important things to understand about this feeling of unsafety and how to generate feeling safe in order to do that. And one really fascinating thing to consider is this. Do you feel unsafe to be your full self? Or do you just feel uncomfortable being your full self? Because sometimes we can confuse lack of safety with the discomfort, the uncomfortable feelings of really showing up as who we authentically are. And when you understand the difference between danger and fear and being unsafe versus discomfort and feeling uncomfortable, there's a great deal of liberation that can occur just in that. So in this episode, we're going to go through in detail all the things that you need to know as a foundation for you to shift from feeling unsafe to be yourself to shift into a sense of safety and comfort within yourself so you can authentically be who you are and be free in this world. You're listening to Practical Spirituality with B, the podcast with spiritual advice for your everyday life, helping you align with your soul so you can live with purpose, fulfillment, and magic. I'm Bernadette Logue. You can call me B, and I'm excited to share this episode with you. Okay, so let's start by talking about what is it to feel safe. There is safety at various levels. There is a sense of safety physically, feeling physically safe. There is psychological safety. And then there is a sense of emotional safety. So when we are wanting to feel safe, to fully be ourselves and live the way we want to live, we need to feel physically safe to do that, mentally and emotionally safe to do that. When we're not feeling safe, that can be because of any of those same reasons. For some reason, physically feeling unsafe, mentally feeling unsafe, emotionally feeling unsafe, or any combination thereof. So let's briefly consider where the sense of not feeling safe came from originally. Because if you're listening to this and you've got an interest in feeling really safe and comfortable to be who you really are, that's because some part of you does not feel that. And so you're seeking a way to shift, right, into greater safety. So where did this sense of unsafety come from? And I really relate to anyone who's going through this because I have spent the majority of my life feeling unsafe and anxious, and that has been a soul lesson for me to overcome. And I can remember being 3-4 years old and thinking to myself, this is not a safe world. This is not a safe place. I do not feel safe about pretty much everything. So you want to really look at your own unique life situation, because it's fascinating when you understand where it came from. Because here's the deal, you weren't born feeling unsafe. You're born into the world and then you have conditioning occurs. You have your upbringing, you have your education, you have experiences, and you have things you're exposed to. And those 4 things formulate your paradigm, your experience of the world, and they lead you to beliefs and feelings. And some of the beliefs that you formulate as you try to perceive and interpret and make sense of yourself and the world and other people, some of those beliefs and feelings work for you and are beautiful, and some of them just do not. And this is how we generate limiting beliefs and fears from the way we're perceiving, interpreting, and making sense of life. Now, it's important to say that some things may have happened that literally were dangerous and literally you were unsafe and there literally was a consequence. And so at that time where you made up your mind that it wasn't safe to be you, that could have been an absolutely factually accurate interpretation to make. And that was a necessary strategy in order for all parts of your being to then get on board to keep you safe, to develop coping strategies to shut down in order to get through, in order to be safe. But for a large number of people, probably the majority of people, it really wasn't a response to physical danger. It's quite often a mental and emotional response when we're little and we're trying to make sense of other people in the world and our parents and siblings and teachers and all of the many varied aspects of life, and we're interpreting how people are responding to us or not responding to us, that we make up our mind as an interpretation about whether it is okay to be who we really are, whether it is okay to show our true self, whether it is safe to do so or not safe to do so, in situations where we are not actually in danger at all. Okay, so it's important to say some mechanisms for feeling unsafe were absolutely appropriate at time, but that said, they may not at all be appropriate for you now. So if you've had unsafe situations earlier in life and you shut down who you really were, and that worked for you then, but now it's not working for you, then it's time to make a big shift. If you shut down earlier in life and stopped being who you truly are, and you were actually safe, but maybe not emotionally feeling safe, then equally right now that it's not working for you, and so we need to make a big shift in order to open you up to yourself and to life. So what happens when we are navigating through this world? And to be honest, this is not just when we're children and when we're really little and we have a limited ability to make sense of things in terms of critical thinking skills and strategies for getting by, but we do this as young adults and adults as well, okay? It's like a habitual patterned go-to response. And that is that we are looking out into the world and we're looking for the responses of other people and life to tell us who we are and to validate us, to approve of us, to mirror to us whether who we are is okay or not. Because we're looking for safety and belonging and acceptance. And belonging and acceptance and validation and expressions of love towards us make us feel safe. And when we don't get those things, and there's an absence of those things, we can feel unsafe. And when there's the exact opposite, not just the absence, but actually negativity, rejection, judgment, unsafe behavior towards us, then we can end up shutting down. And what happens is we can go all sorts of different places with this in our psychology and emotional system about how we cope. So when you think about your early life and when you started to feel unsafe and why, what was it that your mind, your blessed mind, came up with about why this was happening, who you are in relation to the world around you, and what your beliefs and fears were as a result that then you've carried with you through your life. So for example, when we're not fitting in, we can start to make up our mind something's wrong with me. When we're not getting acceptance, we can make up our mind I must not be good enough. When we are not feeling safe and accepted, we can make up our mind that the world is XYZ, relationships are XYZ, negative interpretations, right? And again, sometimes that will have been an appropriate and actual interpretation of fact, and sometimes not. But the point is it creates a set point and a reference point for the rest of your life. And so while circumstances change, if we carry that with us, it continues to colour the way we see everything, ourselves, life, and other people. And so usually as little people, when we don't feel safe to be ourselves, here's what we do. We adapt ourselves, we adjust ourselves, we seek to please other people, we find a way to fit in and belong, we chameleon ourselves, We will often abandon parts of ourselves, leaving parts of ourselves behind, shutting down, dimming ourselves down. And we do that in order to not be seen, not be heard, because that's safer. Not be judged, not be rejected, because that's safer. Not rock the boat, because that's safer. Because something has occurred at some point where we made an interpretation that I'm not something enough. I've tried to be myself and it was not received well and it didn't go well. I either got nothing back, I got blanked, or I got something negative back. And therefore, set into my psychology becomes, it's not safe to be me. And when we become adults, what happens is that we're a dulled down version of ourselves. So all the brightness, all the spark, all the joy, all the full creative, magical self-expression is all still in you, but it is locked away. And it's locked away for a very good reason, because part of you thinks, oh, hell no, that's not safe. That's not safe to share and to show up with. And then we can have all sorts of add-on interpretations like, I'm not understood, I have nothing to offer, I'm not like everyone else, I don't belong, I don't fit in, I'm too XYZ, I'm not enough of XYZ. And just in order to self-protect, right? Just in order to not feel hurt, to not feel disappointment, and to not feel exposed, to not open ourselves to judgment, rejection, commentary, pain. Because if you've felt any pain in the past at any age, even when you're really young, because you were your full self and it didn't go well and you didn't feel safe, then every part of your being doesn't want that to happen again. And so that's why you don't sing your heart out. That's why you don't live your heart out. That's why you keep yourself contained. But what ends up happening is the coping strategies we develop when we're younger and in earlier life situations like that, which could have been completely appropriate coping strategies in order to feel safe and get by, once circumstances change and we grow up, are A, no longer appropriate coping strategies, and B, we have created a prison within ourselves that we are now living within. So what once kept us safe now keeps us imprisoned. And so I want you to think about this. At some point, if you have felt unsafe to be you, just acknowledge that's valid. But now I want you to think about present day and your life. And I want you to think about all the ways that you don't feel safe in the world right now to be yourself. Is it in your relationship, intimate partnership? Is it with your friends? Is it socially? Is it on social media? Is it in your workplace? Is it with what you'd really love to do with your career, work, vocational purpose? Is it just generally out in the world at large? Is it with social situations and people you don't know? I really want you to think about where you don't feel safe and how you miss out on life as a result of that. How it feels to walk around like that. Because we need to start to see the way that it's playing out and impacting in order to start to make a shift. Now, once you can see the ways that you hold yourself back, you avoid, you stay small, you stay stuck, you get in your own way because part of you is trying to self-protect. Now I want you to think about this. Just try it on for size, and it's not going to fit every single situation for every person, but it will fit often a large number, okay? What if it's not unsafe to be you? What if it's just uncomfortable to be you? Because the feeling you're having is there for a reason. When you don't feel safe to be yourself, no one can deny that you feel that way. That's a real feeling you're having. But what I want to encourage you to consider is it feeling unsafe or is it feeling uncomfortable? I had a conversation with a beautiful member of our Soul Odyssey program, Soul Odyssey community recently about this very thing. And we were talking about living in fear and living with freedom and feeling safe in the world. And this is a really, really powerful pivot to be able to make, is to say, I'm so used to adapting myself, people pleasing, fitting in, hiding, staying safe, doing all these things, these mechanisms to self-protect that I maybe learned earlier in life. And I've been doing it because I'm thinking and feeling that I'm unsafe, but maybe really I'm just uncomfortable because I really don't like or know how to show up as my full self, because I am anticipating that something might go wrong. I am anticipating I might get blanked by people. I am anticipating I might get judged or rejected, or something might go badly. That's uncomfortable, right? So in this moment, are you literally in danger? Physically, psychologically, or emotionally? Or are you uncomfortable with the prospect of being your full self? Just see if that's enough to edge open the door of the box you might have been keeping yourself in. Because it is completely valid to be uncomfortable being your true self when you are very well used to decades of self-adapting in order to fit in, belong, people please. Because what happens is you lose yourself. You end up in your mid to later life and you feel sometimes like you don't know who you really are because you've lost yourself, because you have molded yourself to fit so that you could feel safe in a self-protection strategy, right? And so of course it's uncomfortable to start to say what you really think and say how you really feel and do the things you really want to do and put yourself out there and express yourself freely as you would wish to do, be your creative, beautiful self that might have been hiding away. That's uncomfortable because you're just not used to it, right? But is it unsafe? Really, really sit with that. Maybe even pause this and journal about that for a little while and see what comes up for you, okay? And I want you to consider this. From a spiritual perspective, you're a soul and you are incarnated in your human self right now, and you're having your soul journey, you're having your life. Everything comes from the same source. So just stay with me. I'm just going to use the language life because that's the easiest way to do this. But I use these terms interchangeably: life, creator, God, universe, divinity, source, oneness, one mind, love and consciousness. We cherish all faith and belief systems here. So life created you and brought you forth, and you are therefore life made manifest. And all of creation around you, the town you live in, the city you live in, the state you live in, the country you live in, the planet, that is also life made manifest. And every other person is also life made manifest. So you come from the same place that everyone else comes from. Everything you see with your eyes comes from the same place you come from. So all of it is life. You are life, and everything around you that makes you feel unsafe is also life. So all of it is home. All of it is you. You are connected to all of it. You are looking at yourself, and yourself is looking back at you. You are swimming within life that created you and life that is your home. You are safe to be yourself. That does not mean that everybody likes you and everybody praises you and everybody gels with you and everybody gets you, because we all know that's not true. And that's because we're all colourful human beings and we all get to have our own viewpoints and our own vibes and our own path and our own opinions. And that's okay, right? It's okay to safely be you and other people not like it. It's not unsafe for people to not like it or to not validate. It's uncomfortable, but it's not unsafe. Okay? When we're talking about physical danger, yes, that's unsafe. When we're talking about psychological and emotional abuse, that's unsafe, right? And that's where you hightail it out, you set boundaries, and you get yourself into a state where you self-protect. That's called smart strategy. And sometimes you need to do that, and that's okay. But we also need to know how to walk through the world for the majority of the time and all other circumstances, freely able to be ourselves without dulling down and boxing ourselves in. So I want to suggest a couple of things to you about how to shift forward once you understand the root of this unsafety. So you understand the root of it, you understand how it's affecting your life right now, you have try to emphasize the idea that it is safe, it's just uncomfortable, then where do you go with that? Well, the first thing is that you're standing there going, okay, I'm seeing things differently, and I can understand why I've been walking around feeling unsafe to be me. And I understand actually it's not danger or unsafety, it's actually discomfort, and I need to get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's how you expand your life, right? As you get comfortable being uncomfortable, that's going outside your comfort zone. But there is something else that's important to do, and that is to process the mental and emotional, I don't want to call it baggage because that sounds super negative. It just is what it is. But you want to process the stored mental and emotional energy of danger, fear, risk, and unsafety that you may be carrying around inside of you. So whether that is something that's happened earlier in your life, whether it's just a lifetime of anxiety and the very real visceral feeling of unsafety inside your body and energy system, trying to just walk ahead and just go, oh yeah, I logically understand what she's talking about, and now let me just try to live differently. Well, you can do that, but it actually makes it so much easier for you if you just do a little bit of processing of the mental and emotional blocks that you have been carrying to free yourself up, right? And so it's like naming the fears, naming the feelings, naming the things that happened in the past. We can use tools like emotional freedom techniques to dig in and peel back the layers of that onion, so to speak, and to release you at the root level so that you can walk forward free. It's like cutting the chain, the ball on the chain off your leg so you don't have to drag it with you. Another thing that's important to do, which is part of that process, is teaching your body that you are safe here and now. Because your body has a very clever mechanism for looking for danger, detecting danger, and signaling you in every way whether you are safe or unsafe. The problem is that the way that works inside your brain and your physiological system is based on past experiences, and things like words, smells, memories, tones of voice, and familiar feelings can trigger you into fight, flight, freeze, danger, risk, I'm unsafe, when actually there's no risk. And so you have to learn how to bring your body into the present moment so that you can be all here and now, and your mind is not living in the past and what happened in the past and feeling unsafe in the past, and it's not living in the future and projecting fear into the future of anticipatory something's going to go wrong and I can't be me. So we release the ball and chain of past mental and emotional blocks, and then we train your body to feel the present moment and to feel safe and calm here in the present moment, which then places you really well for being able to move forward with a plan for how do I want to show up in the world now? Like if I was to freely be myself, then what would I be doing? Who would I be? What would I be saying? What activities would I be doing? What would I give myself permission for in my life? And you frame your mindset and your goals and your daily life routine around you being free. You be very deliberate about it. Because it doesn't take much when you scratch the surface of your imagination to say, if I was fully authentically myself and I felt free to be me and I had no fear of anything, then the way that I would live and the things I would do are, and then you fill in the blank. And for some people, it's really tiny things. It's just like the freedom to do some hobbies and activities that you really love just for you. For other people, it's like leaping out, making a big change in their career or their business. For other people, it's like speaking up in difficult relationships and laying some boundaries down and like, you know, treating yourself with better dignity and respect because you deserve it, right? And I want you to think about this one last thing I'll leave you with in this episode, and that is that when we want to feel safe to be ourselves, we often think about, well, it's not safe because of the world out there. You know, people and life's unpredictable and there's potential dangers lurking on the horizon and it doesn't feel safe to be me. And that we process that in this whole experience of making the shift from unsafe to feeling safe. But there's a really important element in it, and it's this. It's learning how to be comfortable in your own skin. It's learning to be comfortable with who you really are, with all your quirks and all of your uniqueness and your sense of humor and your loves and your passions and your likes and your dislikes and your personality and all the traits and the nature of you and all of it. It's you being comfortable with yourself in your own skin, with who you really are in your own being. Yes, it can feel unsafe to be in the world, but the bigger picture is, does it even feel safe to be you, in you, with yourself? And this is the coming home to yourself. This is the big, big part of the soul journey, is to move ourselves out of the mental and emotional conditioning that was put upon us when we came into the world through our life journey and experiences and exposure and relationships and the way our mind tried to make sense of everything, to free and liberate ourselves from that, to come home to who we are, to belong to ourselves, to love ourselves unconditionally, to embrace ourselves wholly and completely, and to freely love, accept, and express ourselves in whatever way naturally, intuitively comes to us. And so we might have been walking around with the shackles on of I don't feel safe to be me because of the outside world and because society is a bit crazy and because people are, can do unexpected things and people are judgmental and I'm afraid that I won't get accepted and all of those things. And those are very common and very valid reasons to feel unsafe to be yourself. But it's more rare for people to realize that underneath all of that is also a discomfort and a rejection of self. And it just makes common sense when you think about it, that if you want to feel safe out in the world and you want to feel comfortable with being around other people, whether they accept you and like you or not, because not everyone will, because that's the world and that's okay, then you've got to, at a bare minimum bottom line, understand yourself, be comfortable with yourself, love yourself, accept yourself, validate yourself. To have the core foundational beliefs, I am enough, I am worthy, I'm deserving, I love myself, I'm lovable, I belong to life, and I belong to myself, which gives you the foundation and the freedom to be able to move around in this world living from your soulful truth. If you need more help with this, there are multiple ways that I can help you before we sign off this episode. The first way is you can come and join me in the Soul Odyssey program, where you will get everything you need to address all of the things we've talked about in this episode, plus so much more. You can come over to www.bernadettelogue.com and click on program on the top menu to find all the details about the Soul Odyssey program. In that program, I walk alongside you and we deal with all of this and everything else you need, A to Z, to live your authentic soulful self in this life with purpose, fulfillment, and magic. Aligning your mindset, your consciousness, your emotions, your goals, and how you show up in the world and what you do with what is authentic and intuitive for you, the life that's wholly right for you. The second way I can help you is that at the time of recording this episode and when I release it for you, upcoming is the month of October 2023, and I have 2 spaces remaining for one-on-one coaching. So that coaching is a 1-month package where I will work privately with you one-on-one in weekly sessions with unlimited coaching support via email and our members area in between your sessions, helping you in a customized, personalized way to move through anything that we've talked about today or any other area of your life that you need life coaching. I do spiritual and transformational life coaching to support clients in this way. If that's of interest to you, you can email to me, support@bernadettelogue.com, or DM me on social media and just put the word safe, SAFE, safe. And I will reply to you and give you all the details about what the 1-month coaching package for October includes, what to expect, pricing details, availability, and more. And then you can see if it resonates with you and if it's a good fit, and we can take it from there. So you simply email support@bernadettelogue.com or DM me on social media and just type the word safe and I'll get right back to you. It's been a pleasure being here with you. My soul recognizes your soul and sends so much love to you, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Practical Spirituality with Bea. I'll talk to you next episode for more spiritual advice for your everyday life, helping you align with your soul so you can live with purpose, fulfillment, and magic.